Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. Happy Friday. I see a lot of energy in there. I appreciate that when I see it because I'm bringing it to you as well. Okay, so I'm going into, I almost said ChatGPT, into SAM training today. And what I want to do is just spend as much time as I can in the training and go pretty fast because once I get into SAM, you tend to lose track of time. And we've got just 30 minutes. We go from 12 to 12:30. But today I want to talk to you about SAM from different perspectives. I've done a lot of training in the past about SAM.Gov. And today is just a different angle at looking at it. It is the fundamental tool for us. And that's why I like coming back over and over again. I've often heard the line out there that if you're not in SAM, or excuse me, if you see an opportunity in SAM, you're too late. If the first time you're seeing it in SAM is that you're too late, if the first time you're seeing it is in SAM, that you're too late. And I've heard this line over and over again throughout my entire career, and I've been doing this a long time. And I feel like it's kind of this diss to the most helpful tool in government contracting, one of the most helpful tools out there, right? I think it's a fundamental tool since you can't do business with the government unless you're in SAM. But then there's all sorts of other things about grants, opportunities, et cetera, that are in there. And to just do a broad stroke across it saying, if you don't see an opportunity, if the first time you see an opportunity is in SAM, then you're too late. That's really just too much, right? You're not too late. It's not the best timing. Of course, I would advise you to hear about an opportunity earlier and earlier. And I have no doubt that you feel the same way. If I could have heard about it earlier, I would have. But the first time I heard about it was in SAM. I spent a long time as a government contractor, and I have beat incumbents me personally, not me helping somebody else, me and my company. I have beat incumbents when I have heard about the opportunity in SAM as an RFP. Now, the one caveat in there is that I was able to do that because it was Microsoft SharePoint. My last company was Microsoft SharePoint focused. I didn't go after anything that wasn't Microsoft SharePoint. And if you don't know this, Microsoft makes SharePoint, right? We were able to go toe to toe with them because we had so much past performance. Would I have loved to hear about the opportunity earlier? Sure. But we've gone in there. Anything could happen. But I'm not here to encourage that behavior of a reactive approach to sales by waiting until it's in SAM. I want to encourage you to actually hear about opportunities earlier. I want you to understand that SAM is a good tool, but you want to see it as a proactive way of doing business. And that's how I'm going to talk about SAM today. It's not the end of the world if the first time you hear about an opportunity is in SAM, but it's not the best place. So let's talk about some of the best ways to look at SAM. I'm going to break up today's training into these three sections, right? How to find opportunities in SAM. I want to go through just some of the ways I do it so you can see another person and how they look for opportunities and how they might crawl around. And then the second thing is inside of each SAM entity or record in there, there's a lot of information. So I want to just talk to you about top information you should be tracking and maybe recording or thinking about it even beyond a single opportunity. You could see the information and see a broader value. And then the third thing that I'll talk about is how to set up notifications. This is a really important thing. And actually, I probably should have said how to set up saved searches because I actually don't like notifications. Notifications are where something is pushed to you. And when something is pushed into your email box, the chances of you ignoring it go way, way up. But if you create a saved search and you go to SAM and you look at it, the chances of you getting that value is 100% because you chose to go look at that saved search. But that's where we're looking at. I'm going to talk about these topics in 3 slides, and then I'm going to try to spend the bulk of the time going into SAM and walking through what I just went through on the slides. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what you're here for today. Put SAM rocks in the chat. Let me know we're excited about the day beyond just it being sunny and nice, but we're excited because SAM is what we're talking about. Who else gets excited about SAM? I do. All right. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm founder of CallPlan AI, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. After I got out of the Army, I spent 20 years as a government contractor in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. This is what I want for you. It's why I come back day after day. If you haven't connected with me already, join 42,204 people who are following me on LinkedIn. These people follow me because I put out good content that is designed only to help you have success in the federal market as a government contractor. So definitely follow me. If you haven't learned how to use LinkedIn, it's got a bell notification. Make sure you hit the bell notification and say, show me everything Neil says. And then the last thing on here is Government Contracting Success is the name of my newsletter. Join me into the newsletter. This is where I put out content that I think is more valuable to you. And it tends to be longer form or things where I can really break up step by step. An example is if I'm telling you that NASA is looking for small businesses in their supplier portal, well, I break down with visuals, et cetera, and links, all the steps in there. That's what I tend to put in the newsletter is really tactical steps you can follow. I haven't figured out what next week's training is. If this is your first time, I never do. I always figure it out the weekend before and I put it out there, but guaranteed I will let you know on LinkedIn. So track on that. Thanks for all that Sam rocks in the chat. I see it and I get energized. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about how to find opportunities within SAM. And I'm not trying to give you a full training course on SAM. I'm just picking a couple of things I'd like to talk about today that will be helpful to you. So the first thing I want you to understand is that there's three main types of opportunities, if you will, within SAM. I can go into SAM and look at opportunities that are upcoming. Think of these as like RFIs or sources sought. This is where the government is doing market research and they're exploring with industry how they might acquire the services and products that they need. These are upcoming opportunities. Then you have what I call actively in play opportunities. And what this means is the request for quote or request for proposal has dropped and you got 10 to 15 days basically to respond with your bid. There's no discussions. There's not a lot of activity going on, but these are in play. And then the final group, which is one of my favorite, and I really want to point out today, are awarded contracts. I feel like too many of us ignore the fact that SAM lists out awarded contracts, similar to what you have in FPDS, right? So there's different reporting requirements, but if you go into SAM, you can find contracts that have been awarded in your space and the type of product or service you're selling. And by finding those opportunities, you can then create a strategy around reaching out to that buyer or learning more about how to sell that type of product. Okay, so those are the three main types of opportunities. Second thing is, the second and third thing are kind of combined. I want you to find winners within SAM. A lot of times we go into SAM and we're looking at the opportunity, we're looking at the buyer. Don't forget the seller. If you find the winners, the sellers in SAM, and you do this in the awarded contracts, if you find those winners, not only can you look at what you wish you had won and create a strategy, maybe put it in your pipeline, but now you can follow your competitors' wins. You can take their UEI and go put it somewhere else and find a lot more agencies or federal buyers who are buying what they sell. And if what they sell is what you sell, then they just make it a lot easier for you to find the opportunities you can pursue. So that's one thing that I want you to track on, and I'll go show you in a few minutes. Second thing I want you to pay attention to is inside of SAM, you have all this data. Frankly, the government does a fantastic job being transparent with its data. So inside of SAM, when you find an opportunity you like, the title, you open it up, there's a bunch of information in there, data, fields. You want to look in there and find stuff that's helpful. Some of the top information that I find valuable when I'm doing my job as a salesperson, points of contact. I instantly want to know who's buying what I'm selling. And so if I open an opportunity, I'm like, ooh, I wish I had won that, or I want to win that because it's coming up or something. I instantly have a buyer, right? And they're at a different stakeholder level, but it's a buyer connected to what I sell. That's good. Second thing and third thing kind of combined, and this is really important thing to understand. A lot of times we're taught to pay attention to the program office, but it's really important you also pay attention to the contract office. They're rarely the same, and sometimes they're not even in the same agency within a department. Sometimes they're not even in the same department, which is a crazy thing. Like the Department of Army will buy for CDC or something, crazy stuff. But when you go in and look at SAM, this is where you can start finding some of this information. And the reason it's important is finding a program office tells you kind of who has that need, right? But finding a contract office tells me, well, these people are buying for this program office what I sell. I wonder if they're buying it for a whole bunch of other customers, what they call internal customers, right? So I want to know that contract shop. Maybe I can meet that contracting officer and other people in that shop. And then the last piece of information I put here was interested vendors. This used to be a huge thing in the past. And then we switched over to SAM, not to go too much into history, and that disappeared a little bit. It used to be you could put you're interested in opportunities. In preparing for this training, I see it was back. I don't know when it was gone and when it's back, but I don't care. It's there at the bottom of some opportunities. Some of the contracting officers for that record have turned on interested vendors, which means we can push a button and say, hey, register me as an interested vendor. This is incredibly good for anybody who's trying to team up with somebody else. And then the last thing is a huge portion of what's in here that you can find is when you look in SAM and see an opportunity, you can see how the federal government describes what you sell. This is incredibly important. What I would encourage you to do is you'll find any random contract, even if you're brand new to it, right? Take a proposal you have just written somewhere or an RFI, but mostly a proposal. Take that and then take a couple of these performance work statement type documents, right? Upload all 3 of them into ChatGPT. Don't worry about the whole proprietary thing. Unless you got massive proprietary information, don't overly concern you about that. People always get up in arms about AI. But put them in and ask ChatGPT, am I speaking the government's language if these 2 or 3 documents represent how the government speaks? So for example, for me, if I'm doing IT services and I find a couple of SharePoint related type performance work statements, I might put them in. And the reason I really like it is it helps me make sure I'm telling the government about my solutions in the words that they use, not the words that I use. That is very important for us to be able to speak the buyer's language. Okay, so that's some top information. I'll show you when we get into SAM. And then the last group is, and hold on one second. I log into SAM before the training to make sure I'm all ready. And then SAM just logs you out. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. Okay, good. I'm still logged in. All right, so the last thing is I want to talk about how to set up saved searches for notifications. So the word notification means that if you set something up in SAM, SAM will keep telling you. I should have said don't do that, which I do actually say here on the bottom bullet. I don't recommend it. Notifications, though, don't put it into your email box because when you do, it's just too much crap or too much stuff. You know, you want to leave the data where it is and only pull back select gems that are going to fit into your pipeline. But the way you do the saved search, and I will show you, you have to be signed in. So sometimes you can browse SAM without being signed in, but you need to sign in, and then you're going to establish the search criteria. So I'll show you Sources Sought as an example, looking for RFIs, et cetera. You establish your search criteria and you go, hey, that's it. Every day I want to see any changes in this bit of information. And then you go a couple of buttons, action, save, give it a name, and save it. And then you have the option to choose notification, notify me or don't. Again, I'll show you that in a second. But these are the 3 things I'm going to show you in there. Before I go to SAM and show you, I just want to thank Voltron for sponsoring our training. I do these trainings every single day, and I've been doing them for years now, over 900 live trainings, I think. And Voltron is sponsoring us here, and I really appreciate their help. They help you write more winning federal proposals by going from solicitation to a ready draft in minutes instead of weeks. And this is really exciting because it enables you to spend that extra time making it a winning and compelling proposal. And so check out Voltron. At the very least, do me a favor and throw thank you Voltron into the chat. That's always good. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get us over to SAM. When I say us, I mean me. Okay, here I am. Let me just actually make sure I know what I'm looking at. Good. Okay, so hopefully you know about SAM. Again, I'm not here to teach you heavy details on SAM, but I am going to go through pretty fast. I got 16 minutes to finish my training. So the first thing I said was make sure you're signed in, right? So I'm already signed in, which will save me a few minutes. And I'm going to go a little bit backwards. I want to show you the saved notification just in case I run out of time. So in here, one of the things I'm going to do is to come over. I just hit the word contracting, say I'm searching on contracting. In here, I'm just going to search an exact phrase that I did yesterday, risk management framework. So this is a type of cybersecurity. So I searched risk management framework, and these results have come up. What I want to do is every day I want to come in and spend, let's say 15, 30 minutes browsing SAM. I want to come in here and see if anything at all in SAM has changed around risk management framework. And let's say I have decided this is a really good search, and it is actually. So I'm going to go to dates now, and hopefully you can see this. You can figure out later. But the part I want is updated, and I'm going to come every single day. But instead, I'm just going to say, show me anything that's changed in the past 2 days, right? And there's my list. It's very, very tiny list, right? And now I could set a search just on risk management framework. I'm going to show you one more because it's more my favorite and it has a lot. So here I'm saying, show me anything updated in the last 2 days. But actually what I want to see, let me come up a little bit. What I want to see are sources sought notices. And so right now there's 187 sources sought notices that have been updated in the last 2 days. This is a good one for me. So I have this, and I want to come back day after day and look at this. And when I do, there'll be like 20 or 30, maybe 40 or 50 RFIs, and I can just zip through them really quick. You just know what the last date is you looked at. So remember, I'm going to hit here, actions. I'm going to save this, and Sam rocks. I wish I could type better. So I should name that sources sought, right? You want a clear name, but I want to delete it later, so I want to know what it is. Now I have this saved search called Sam rocks. So imagine I'm at home. I come over here. I'm like, hey, I want to search. I'm clicking on search again. So I can come in here, and up here on the top, I can say, show me my saved searches. And here's Sam rocks. I just click on it, and there's my criteria. 187 things have changed in the last couple of days. So that's a notification. You want to set these up for whatever's important to you. You might be the type of person who likes NAICS codes. So you could put in 541, 511 or something. And anytime anything comes out on the NAICS code 541, 511, tell me about it. And imagine how little time it takes to stay aware of what's going on with SAM. By the way, this is much easier on you than if you had it coming to your email. Because if it comes to your email, first off, it's buried. It's not proactive, it's reactive. And so you're balancing that with all the other stuff that's in your inbox. But the other thing is, it's just so much easier to be coming through here and doing activity. Okay, so that's the first one I wanted to show you. The second thing, let me see if I can go back, and I'm going to start fresh again. Something else I want to show you that is something I find people don't track on a lot. I'm hitting search, and I'm saying I want to search a contracts. That's where I'm at. What I wanted to show you is down here, it's got more filters. Don't ignore the more filters. I come on, and I like turning them all on. And so here I can put in whatever dates. I'd rather have all the filters available to me, and then I turn them off if I don't like them, right? There's contract details, etc. I don't even know what initiative is, right? I could go look and I find it, but I don't care. I'm turning them all on. And now I have maximized my filter. In fact, here's initiative. Let me go see. Recovery and Investment Act. So if I was trying to research that, that's too data heavy for me. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to find opportunities. But the reason this is helpful is because you get a lot more information and you can begin to own this. It's an important thing to understand that. Okay, so let me come back to that first slide. We want to search opportunities. And I'm going to choose, I'm going to go back again to risk management framework. And this is a little bit of a risk because it's live and I haven't done it. But risk management framework, if you don't know what this is cybersecurity. And so it's a specialty within cybersecurity. So if something's coming up, there's probably a good chance that it's going to fit for me. Like right here, Department of War public website programs and services. For somebody doing risk management framework, that might be pretty good. For all my AI companies, right? There's training out there. And so not everything is in here looking the way it needs to be, but I start finding it. The part I wanted to show you, though, is there's 15 opportunities in here that are just forward-looking. I haven't set the dates in any particular way. I want to show you how I find my competitors and I start looking at older opportunities. So if I hit inactive here, now you see I went from 15 to 1,249. Now I want to know, how is that possible when theoretically I should be looking to the future, not to the past? But it's because they didn't set the date to expire or something in there. But It doesn't really matter to me because I really want to find this stuff. But I already got 1,249, right? That's really good to me. I might come in here and say something like the response date is, I'm going to response date and custom date. What I'm saying is I want to see anything where the response date was, let's say, the last 2 years. And that kind of helps me. Okay, so let me pick any date here. Let me go back. I thought it was going to give me numbers so I could change it. So 24, let's go 23, 2023, October 1st. So what I'm saying is basically go to the beginning of the fiscal year, and then I wanted to go, let's go out to January, February, just what's out there. Okay, I went from whatever it was, 1,700 down to 226. This gives me an understanding of where some opportunities are and how I might be able to begin to pursue them. If I pull this one up, this is always a risk when you do lives, right, to figure out what's in there. Actually, it's sorted by date. So let me go farther back to something. So territorial, census, telehealth, blah, blah, blah. Some of these are, it's funny how, come on, you're killing me here, man. Okay, well, let me stick with this guy for 1 second because I want to finish this particular training. If I come in here, I was talking about there's different information that I'm looking at, right? So I'm looking at this cloud platform. For somebody doing risk management framework, this is a potential leg in. And so I start looking at this. This is in the VA. It's in Network Vision 20 is what it's called. And the minute I see this, by the way, just so you know, like this alone tells me something. If you're not familiar with the Department of Veterans Affairs, inside of the Veterans Affairs, it's got like 21 VISNs, Veteran Integrated Systems Network or something. And basically what it means is every 6 or 8 hospitals, they combine to create a VISN, V-I-S-N. And they work together, right? And there's 21 of them around the country. What this thing told me right here was that potentially this service is being bought in all 21. Because if it wasn't, it would be up at, there's a something called a TAC in the VA that is the headquarter level IT purchaser. So that, I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I know it enough to start. Something else, if you're newer to this, I'm able to look right here at the NAICS code and the PSC code, or the PSC. And what these are, every time I see these, I just take a note. I'm like, hey, am I tracking DA10 and 513-2010, right? Am I tracking these two? And if I'm tracking them, then it's good. It's in SAM or whatever, but it helps with my search. But sometimes I'll come across ones I wasn't. And you want to know when you're trying to search for the government, where the government is buying what you sell, you want to make sure you understand the ID numbers they're using, the PSC or the NAICS code. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say, or I did say in the slides, but all this information, I'm able to come in and start learning more. There's so much stuff in here. Remember, I talked about Vision 20 is right there, and then it's in Spokane. So with Spokane, this is up in Idaho next to Fort Lewis, Washington, which is where I was at when I was in the Rangers. But every Vision, 6 or 8 hospitals, one of them is the contracting shop. And so this now is telling me, and I bet you I can look somewhere else, but this is now telling me that the contracting is probably happening there because the Vision has its own separate headquarters outside of a hospital. So I can come in, I can learn a lot more about what's going on in here, obviously. And then I can start finding people. So this guy, Philip Folger, I'm going to go down here and see the POCs. By the way, remember I said grab all that content that they're talking about? The selected vendors expected to do this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get too far into it because I only got 6 minutes. But you see all this stuff that's in there. I would align that to what I'm selling and what I'm communicating that I'm selling. And so you want to be putting those things together. But let me come down. Oh, come on. How much stuff do you got in here? You could have given me a document. By the way, if you pay for any subscription services, this is one of our biggest problems is the government puts data in a way it just looks ugly, and that makes it really hard for us. Okay, so Philip had his own information in there up above, and he's got it down here again, and he's got it here. So you can find contact information in there and track on it. This thing is really interesting. I said Spokane, Washington, Spokane, Washington, excuse me. But this is Vancouver. And so I'm curious on why there's different location. I would dig into that. Here's links to their things. Oh, this is a perfect one for me. This document, I bet you, is a complete duplicate of what you just saw in the description. But down here, this is what I meant. I can sit there and say, hey, add myself. Actually, it's funny. I can't do that because I'm not I'm not registered in there. I supported Graham, right? They let me use their stuff. But actually, I'll just show you what it looks like because Graham is always my demo. They always let me use them as the example on any training I'm doing. But see how I did it? Now I've added myself as an interested vendor. And if I want to come in here, this business company, I'm able to go, oh, look at this. Here's some points of contact. I can reach out to them and say, I really want to go after this opportunity. And I see you're an interested vendor. Let's go after this together. So this one particular thing actually gave me a really good example to show you all the vital information that's in there. The reason I like going back, and this, let me go back to contract opportunities really quick. Here. The reason I like going in here and looking at old data, though, is I can see what was awarded. So that one is in play right now. But if I come to the very bottom and I say, not active, show me inactive, I start going farther back. This other one's tough. I might type, I got too many things, 212. I might refine it, and I'm doing it live, so you never know if that's good. Okay, I went from 212 down to 100, right? And so maybe I'm getting tighter in here. Let me try cybersecurity. I think that's right. Okay, down to 93. I'm whittling it down. If you know cyber, that's your business, and so you'll be able to speak to that. I don't know cyber, that well to be able to go in there, but you get my point, right? Your ability to start looking at those opportunities. The biggest thing I really want you to remember from today's training, right? Because there's so much in here, and I'm just dabbling on it. You need to become a SAM expert. SAM.Gov, FPDS, USA Spending. These are your tools of the trade. It's like being a carpenter and not knowing how to use a hammer or a circular saw, or a drill. If you don't know how to use those things, how can you be a carpenter or a construction worker, right? And if you're in government contracting, what tools do you have? You've got SAM, you've got FPDS, you've got USA Spending and several others, right? But become an expert at SAM.Gov. Commit to it. Demand it of your employees if you're the boss, right? You should be an expert at this. Take a month and become an expert. And so I want you to become an expert. And the only way you become an expert, by the way, is getting in there and using it. That's how any of us have done this. It's nothing to do with our talent. It has to do with our experience. We go in over and over again, hit walls, come back, figure it out. And that's what I want you to do. So you don't have to pay for experts. You become the expert. Second thing is establish a push notification or set up saved searches. Don't do push notification. I've rebelled against notifications in the last 24 hours. But set up saved searches so that every day you come in and you look at it and you're able to come back with your information. And then the last thing is spend 30 minutes a day on SAM. You have those saved searches. If you set up a couple of those, you come in, you'll look at them, you might explore an opportunity, go, let me dig into it. But every single day, commit 30 minutes. If you're doing sales, do that every day. If you're so busy, you're the business owner and you're billable and all this other stuff, then do 15 minutes a day, but do not do less than 15 minutes a day. Come into SAM every single day. And if you do this every single day of the business week, 220 days by the end of the year, imagine what that will do for you and for your company's value that you're getting from SAM. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Put SAM Rocks in as we rock this into the weekend, so I know you're there. Nina, thanks for letting me use Graham. Nina Martin, the CEO's in there. Hey, if you're starting and building relationships in the federal government, it doesn't matter whether you're doing 100 million or you're just getting started, check out Call Plan AI. All my teaching is now being wrapped into my product called Call Plan AI, where I help you get in, have successful meetings that move the relationship forward and the sale forward. So I'd love to have you over there. Right now, I'm building it together with the users to make sure I watch and build the best tool for you. And so I'm giving 90% off for life for those who subscribe early. For all of us, first off, thanks for showing up. I hope you had a great week and you're going to have a great weekend. Remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.